live.
Cool, we're here. Welcome to the third and final session, Breaking Barriers, Hold Your Tears. I'd like to thank, we have a lot of people new online, a very lively conversation already started on the YouTube stream. If you're watching this, you've already done this part, but we're at bbhemophilia.com. You can comment there to get engaged, or if you're on Twitter, prefer to use that, just hashtag everything bbhemophilia and get involved in the conversation this way. This is, for those of you that's your first time, this is a 3-session program. I don't know, I always have that instinct to want to like split the difference, but Chris doesn't necessarily know which one I'm going to be looking at, so I gotta just stay focused. This is a 3-part program designed to engage and inspire the teens of our community to take care of themselves, take care of their lives through goal setting, physical activity, and raise some education about nutrition and fitness with regard to living a healthier lifestyle. So the guys in this room have all been here before, the guys and gals in this room. They've all been working on various goals. In between the sessions, we've had check-ins, so I can say with full confidence that everyone has made great progress with all of their goals. So in a moment, a partner in crime from believedigi, Ryan Gielin's going to come up and we're going to talk about the goals. After that, there's a brand new presentation from Pfizer Hemophilia called Getting Real, Being a Teen or Young Adult with Hemophilia. So they'll come up and that'll generate a very interesting conversation. And then we have a physical fitness instructor named Will, I'm going to blank on his last name right now. Right, Will Wright. And he's going to be going over some core training through instruction on non-contact cardio boxing. What is it? So usually boxing and hemophilia don't go hand in hand, but we do things differently here. So that's enough for me. I'm going to bring up Ryan to chat with you guys about your goals. So Ryan Gielin, everybody.
Okay, all right, so we have a limited amount of time, so I want to jump straight into it. Let's do a quick recap. 2 types of goals. What are they? Yes. Long-term and short-term, right? Okay, perfect. What is a short-term goal?
Something that won't last very long. It's a goal, but it's not going to last very long.
Right. It's a goal that feels like it's in the immediate future, right? It's something that's pretty close. Excellent. And so what's a long-term goal? Yep.
Something like getting to a good college or a good job later in life that you like start working on now.
Yeah, some of the bigger ones, right? Job, college, school, relationships. Some of the longer ones that you're going to have to work for a little while, ones that require some type of discipline, right? And some type of vision to stay committed to it, right? Okay, so now, we've designed this in a really specific way. What have you guys been doing in between the sessions that we have in person? What did we set up in between the sessions you have in person? All of you guys have done it with Patrick.
Calls, check-in.
The check-ins, right? The check-in phone calls and the Skype sessions, right? Why did we build those in? If this is only like a 6-7 week program, why do we build those in? Yeah.
So we can stay on track.
Absolutely, to help you stay on track, right? Why would a check-in, even if it's we set up these 10 to 15 minute phone call, Skype check-ins, why would we build that in? Why would that help you keep on track? It's only a 10 to 15 minute phone call. Is it really that helpful? Is it really that helpful? Why?
Because like you have someone who's counting on you and trying to help you achieve your goal.
Absolutely. Say that really loudly.
You have someone counting on you and helping you to try and reach your goal.
Okay, so for everybody at home, he said because you have someone counting on you and trying to help you reach your goal, right? That to me is super interesting, right? Why would Patrick be counting on you? It's your goal. Why is he counting on you?
Because he's helping you help yourself to achieve your goal.
Absolutely. He's helping you achieve your goal. So he's taking on some ownership over whether you achieve that goal or not, right? And all you had to do to get Patrick's buy-in, to get that 15 minutes and to make it be his goal in a way too, is all you had to do was say, this is something I want. This is something I'm going after. Right? It really is that simple. right? So let's take Patrick out of the equation for a second, right? Let's say he's not around, he's busy, he's off shooting a movie, being super cool, whatever, being too cool to take your phone calls, right? Okay, so now, how do you have your version of Patrick going after these long-term goals when breaking barriers is over? And don't overthink it. It's really simple. How do you have your future version of that for the long-term goals? What did you have to do to get Patrick to take some ownership over your goal too? Yeah.
Ask him to help encourage you.
Absolutely. You just had to say, this is my goal, this is what I'm going after, right? And because in this case, Patrick cares, and you stated you want this thing, now he's going to help you do it, right? Okay, so let's take him out of the equation. You all have long-term goals. You've worked on them in here. You've worked on them at home, right? How do you have that other person that's accountable to you and you're accountable to after breaking barriers is over? Yep.
I was just like, do it yourself. Like, do it yourself.
Check in with yourself. I love that. I wasn't thinking that, but that's actually a great answer. Check in with yourself. What could that be? What would be a version of checking in with yourself? Yeah.
Asking yourself, like, what have you been doing to achieve your goal? Like, are you staying on track? You're following your schedule?
I love that. That's perfect, right? Every Friday, you say, okay, it's Friday afternoon, school's over, I did a great job at school this week, I did everything I have to do. Let me sit down for 15 minutes before I start my weekend and go through my checklist. Did I really hit everything in my action plan? That's a great one. Checking in with yourself. Do you guys have, everybody has a phone or a computer, right? Phones and computers have calendars built into them now, right? So just setting up in the phone or in the calendar, every Friday, this is what I'm going to do, 15 minutes, I'm going to check in with myself. That's a great one. What's another one? Let's say you want to check in with yourself, but you know there are plenty of times you just kind of forget, right? What else can you build in? Yeah.
Get like a family member or friend to check in.
Absolutely, a family member or a friend, right? Okay, so let's focus on each one separately. Let's start with a family member. What are the pros and cons of having a family member that you check in with, that you do your check-in with every week, every couple of weeks? Yeah.
They can be busy, and we just leave you there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Family can be super busy, right? What else? So that's a con. What's a pro? Yeah.
Maybe they know each other, so they can, do pieces of it, so they can stop you from doing that since they live around you.
That's absolutely right. Right. So pro is proximity, right? They're always around you, and they know you well enough. And how much would a parent love to be invited to give you a hard time? To be invited to nag, right? Of course, right? If you say to a family member, hey, every Friday, I want you to check in with me because I'm going after this goal. Just remind me, or just ask me if I took the steps in my action plan, right? Parents love that. They're getting a free pass to nag, right? Okay, so so pros and cons to family members, right? What are pros and cons to having check-ins with friends? Yeah.
Well, maybe your friend going on vacation one time and you can't talk to him, so it's kind of important because you're not, and if he doesn't have a phone and he doesn't use his phone, while he's on vacation, and you're not going to be able to talk to him about it, so that's kind of hard to, yeah.
Sure. The answer was, I'm just going to summarize it and let me know if I get it right or wrong. But to summarize, the answer is friends can be tricky because they have their own schedules and they don't know, those schedules don't always sync up.
Yeah.
Maybe they go on vacation, maybe they have other commitments. Okay, so that's maybe one of the downsides of a check-in with a friend. What is an upside? What is a pro of checking in with a friend?
The pro is like, you basically see your friends like every day, and like your school friend. So they can remind you in the morning or like at the end of the day, like you look over.
Yeah. So I'm going to summarize that. Friends, one of the pros is kind of like family, proximity. Especially when you're in school, you can check in with them every day, or you will at least see them often, right? What's another pro of having a friend or a peer that you check in with? What's another upside? Yeah.
Usually they might be like around your age, so they would be the more understanding of what you're going through.
Yeah, I love that, right? Why would they be more understanding? What would they have?
I mean, they're going through the same things
Friends have shared experiences, right? Not only are they going through the same things, often they're going through them literally with you, right? So having a friend that you check in with, not only are they going to help you achieve your goal, but just by the nature of them going through the experiences with you, maybe they're going to pursue the same goal, right? Maybe you can lift each other up. Yeah.
Ever since like when you get into it around when you was like between teens and kind of like continuity and stuff, and don't care if their parents are doing it for them, they don't want them to yell at them to do it because of the friend. So having fun.
That's great. Okay, so that's kind of like that pro. I'm going to restate this. Let me know if I'm saying it right. One of the pros of checking in with a friend is if you don't want to invite your parents to nag more, right? If you want to discourage your parents from continuing to nag, you have your check-in with a friend, and it doesn't feel like you're being bossed around. It feels like you're working with a partner to achieve something. Is that okay?
That
Gotcha.
could easily become a con too, because your friends might be more willing to let you slide than some people.
That's great. Okay, so there are pros and cons, right? Because sometimes with friends, if you slip, they'll say, well, yeah, I'm glad you said that because I'm slipping a little bit too. You guys can let each other off the hook in a way, right?
Right.
Okay, so it goes both ways. There are pros and cons to each. So now what I'd like to do, I think I have about 5 minutes left. Okay, so what I'd like to do is, you guys have been very brave each time we've done this. So we're going to continue that. I'd like each of you to come up, and I just want you to tell the group, right, who your check-in is going to be with, or who it might be with, and what you're going to ask them for in that check-in, what you want them to hold you accountable for, right? Okay, so my example would be, my check-in with Patrick would be, okay, every Friday afternoon, we do this, every Friday afternoon, I want us to check in and just make sure we've done everything we need to do for our clients during the week, and we're set up on Monday morning to pick up again and do everything that we need to do for our clients the following week. We just plan for that 15-minute check-in, right? So that's what my check-in is going to be with a peer, with a friend. All right, so who's brave? Who wants to go first? Denver, thank you for volunteering. Thank you so much for volunteering. Come on up, buddy. Round of applause for Denver. Always volunteering for this guy. I love it. It's so helpful.
My check-in for my goal would have to be my sister, because she nags me a lot, and she's annoying, and she'll definitely remind me, never forget. Like, if just thinking her, it's like a broken report, so she'll always be on my tail. So
Okay.
my sister.
So maybe when you approach her, don't say, hey, can you be a broken record and stay on me and nag me? Maybe use the nicer language that you used at the beginning, right? She'll stay on you and help. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Denver, everyone. All right, who's next? Who's next? Did that hand go up? Did I see it?
Oh, please,
Thank you. You always volunteers for the second. I love it. Thank you. Second every time. Go ahead.
Who I would check in with, it probably has to be my mother, because she would never let me slip. Like, she would never ever. She even does it now anyway. I don't even ask her to, and she comes and asks me, hey, did you do this all the time? And it's kind of frustrating, but I guess it's good.
Yeah, what's the good side of it?
I mean, I remember. Like, if I forgot something, she'll remind me.
Awesome. All right, so that's your check-in. Thank you very much, sir. All right, who's next? Whose hand went up? Did we?
His hand.
Did Dylan? Thank you so much, Dylan. All right. He always volunteers to go third. It's so helpful. Thank you. All right. So who is your check-in going to be with?
I would check in with my mom because I've been kind of mean to her and she would make it with me. So yeah, she actually told me to remind me to do my medicine if I want to do it. So I would want to like check in with her on the inside every Saturday and to ask her like to motivate me to do it.
Excellent. That's perfect. Well done. All right. Oh, guys, it's a tie. Both hands went up at the same time. Come on up together. That's great. Thank you. That's so funny. They always raise their hands and volunteer at the same time. It's so funny to do that. Step up, please. Step up, please. All right, so who did you check in with?
My check-in will be with her because as Deborah was saying, like sisters are kind of annoying and like they're like always on your tail. But then again, you're always around them, so they're always like there to remind you.
Excellent.
My check-in will be with my mom because she will be able to keep me on track, unlike my sister. And she's just...
I love it. We have the perfect demonstration of like the pros and cons of family. And sometimes you don't want to check in with family and hear more from them. And sometimes you know they're the best people to check in with because they're so on point. That was perfect. Thank you guys so much. Round of applause. All right, so we're gonna leaving here. We all have the people we're going to set up our check-ins with, and we're gonna do those check-ins. And at some point in the future, we're gonna have another check-in with Patrick and myself. But until it happens, you have the people that you're gonna check in with. So anyway, I just want to say I'm incredibly proud of you guys being brave and talking about this stuff and thinking about it. It shows maturity and commitment, and it's inspiring to me to see that. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, so just a couple things too from Zach agrees with you, by the way. His sister nags him all the time as well. So thought you'd appreciate a little commiseration over the internet. We had a couple people chime in, Zach, Brad, and Rose, all of whom, like you guys, have made progress with their goals. I'm not sure who they're all checking in with yet, but Brad recently completed a half marathon, and he's training for a full marathon March 9th. Brad works for C.J. Wilson's Children's Charities. And Rose, who you guys know from last time as well, said she's continuing to get good grades in classes, and she's got radio sound on who she's checking in with, but we're going to find out, because Jen's going to badger you until you tell us. That's how we get information from people. We just badger them until they give it to us. Okay, so putting goal setting aside for a second, this is a brand new presentation that Pfizer Hemophilia has created, and I had a chance to preview it with them a few days ago. Really cool topic, so I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. So I'm going to bring up Deb Schafter, and she's going to tell you a little bit about Pfizer Hemophilia and get that ball rolling. So Deb, come on up. You're the next contestant. Break barriers. You win the light being kind of in your chest when you stand here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to be really brief. My name is Deb Schacht. I'm with Pfizer Hemophilia, and I am very happy to introduce Linda Polhammer, who is a nurse. He is a clinical education specialist that works with Pfizer. He's been doing a great program here today about teens, so I will bring her up. I hope you enjoy it. I will be popping up again just to talk about some of our resources and just to remind you that we do have them in the back of the room. So I will bring up Linda now and enjoy. Thank you.
Woo! Hold on. We gotta get this back. When you get older, you need glasses.
Get a quick inside look at Linda's computer. Seems organized so far.
No crazy picture.
No crazy pictures.
Efficient.
I just have to get the right place to stand.
Oh,
make sure.
I am so sorry.
Buttons.
I already know the answer, but I forgot to announce. If anyone has a license to be a nurse, a doctor, or a social worker, you need to sign in my sign-in sheet. I don't think that is the case for anyone, but if it is, let me know. Maybe it's not. I apologize.
All right. Is this a good place to stand?
Yeah.
Am I-
Yeah,
okay.
you're in there over there.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Linda Polhammer. I'm a nurse educator specialist. I always say that I've been a nurse for 100 years. Okay. In that time, right before I got this job, you guys know that I worked in home infusion, and I got the chance to take care of some hemophilia patients in the home, little guys that I had to chase around to get their infusion on board. We never had to do that. And then older gentlemen that kind of maybe didn't want anybody in their neighborhood to know that they had hemophilia. So I've kind of had the spectrum. So that's kind of what brings me here to do this with you guys today. A little bit of housekeeping. We now have, this is a, like Patrick said, this is a brand spanking new, just for teens. Okay, we have a handout in the back with all the resources that I'm going to talk about. And then just make sure that any of the websites or things like that that you want for the people at home have access to, and I guess Patrick will make sure that we have that information for you somehow.
Yeah, it'll all be up on bbhemophilia.com as well once this is said and done.
Good. The other thing is, just my little housekeeping things, this is the evaluation, we've talked about this before. This not only evaluates this class and this presentation, but it also have lines down here. If you think of anything what else you guys would like as far as education, write it in here. This program, me as a nurse educator, is going on its 4th year. When we started, we had nothing. We reach out to the hemophilia community, the chapters, the emergency departments, the HCCs, and ask what kind of education you need. So now you guys, we have about 9 programs. This comes from direct input from teams. So this is how we get these programs. So just actually make sure that you give me your input if you have it. And the other part is Hemophilia Village. If you don't already have this, you can get this either online or as a periodical to your home. It's continuous information for the hemophilia population. Okay? And we've done this before. This is not a lecture. It's no good. If I stand here and just lecture to you, that's not what we do. You don't have to raise your hand. You'll just speak out. And then for anybody that has questions at home, Patrick will give me those questions or answers or input, because that's how we learn. That's how these programs are successful. Okay, so getting real, being a teen or young adult with hemophilia, that's what we picked. So I also want to thank the New York chapter for inviting us to work with them. So once again, I know that it says here Pfizer. I do not work for Pfizer. I'm retained by Pfizer to reach out to the hemophilia community to do these kind of programs. We're not here to talk about products. That's not what this is about. It's to continuously reach out to the hemophilia community, bring you some educational series that you're interested in. If you have questions about individual treatments, I'm going to certainly say pull out your pen and paper and write those questions down, or tell each other that you want to take that back to your hemophilia treatment center. Okay? So let's get started. Guess what? We're not going to have easels or things like that. But what we're going to do is I want you to have a quick look at this and tell me what you see. Just shout it out. Don't take a lot of thought. Just shout it out. Go.
Lion.
Next. Go.
Butterfly.
Butterfly, lion, bee, bat.
The Google Doodle from a couple weeks ago.
Pardon me?
The Google Doodle from a couple weeks ago.
The Google Doodle.
Oh, really?
That's what it was. So
Genie
So-
lamp.
Genie lamp. Okay,
A cloud.
a cloud. Look at all those things.
Scariest clown I've ever seen in my life.
I see kind of a scary mouth here, like a scary clown, you know? So the point is, same picture, every single person in this room had a different perspective of what that lot looked like. What does that tell you?
We're all different.
We're all different. We all think a little bit different. So let's go ahead and, what I wanted to tell you is nobody has their cell phones on right while we're here right now. So this, when we do these kind of programs, it says, please shut off your cell phone, just in case it rings while we're here, just as a friendly reminder. Anyway, what I'd just like to tell you about this is there are hemophilia apps out there. This one talks about that app store that just for, like Patrick said, just for keeping track of things, and that might be something that you look to and ask about. And if you wanted to ask Deb Schachter at the end of this to show you their app device, then go ahead and reach out to her for that.
And there's a couple of parents who are talking about goals that involve their child self-infusing, and apps like that also give you an opportunity to log your infusion schedule and make some notes, so it might be a way to help keep accountable in the vein of keeping accountable well beyond the sessions. Using technology, using apps like that to do so might be helpful for you.
You'll probably see that come up throughout this educational series, if you will, while we're talking about this. So let's go ahead and get started. So our goals for today is we're going to have some fun. It's not tense, guys. Everybody looks like they're really tense. We're going to get to know each other, which you guys have, and we're going to get some new ideas. And look at the difference. Everybody is a little bit different. So guess what? I don't know if you've all said this. This says playbook. I say children are not born with a guidebook or rules and regulations. So isn't it a little bit different? Everybody's a little bit different. Just like that plot that we just saw, everybody comes to life with their different expectations, their different challenges, their different thoughts, and how they're going to take a path. So how do you define yourself? What do you think of yourself? Who are you? Go.
I think I'm unique.
You think you're unique
And
because...
because I'm different from my friends, I think outside the box.
Very good. He thinks outside the box. That's really challenging. So anybody else? What makes you different? What makes you different? Nothing? You're the same as everybody else. You just had a different opinion of what that block looks like. So you can't be the same because you think a little bit different than everybody else. Anybody else?
Well, you're new to New York City, right? I mean, that's one thing right off the bat that I think out of everybody in this room, like you and your dad are the most recent residents of New York City, and you have experience from somewhere else in the country, and that's awesome.
And that you can share those experiences with other people, and they can learn where you're from. The New York people learn a little bit from where you're from. Where are you from? Missouri. So if they've never been there, you've got a lot to share and a lot of personality to bring with that. So everybody defines themselves a little differently. So we all agree on that. So how do you make sense of issues when you have competing influences? Do any of these people compete with you? Friends, family, HTCs, events in your life. Who carries the most weight? You don't have to raise your hand, just shout it out.
I guess it would have to be my parents.
Your parents carry the most weight.
Yeah.
How about your friends?
Well, I kind of asked them for help on like certain things, their opinion, like definitely recommendations or suggestions. But like my parents, I guess it's like it's kind of like can't always say no. Like sometimes they say like kind of final.
Sometimes what they say is kind of final, so they can't say no. So they are your biggest influence. Yes, sir.
Well, I wouldn't really ask your friends because, like you said, you don't know each other.
Do you bounce things off your friends sometimes? Like, what do you think?
Sometimes, but it's not really questions I usually ask your friends.
But you usually ask your parents. Does that change when you get a little older?
Some questions.
Do you guys still reach to your parents, the older guys in the room? Do you still reach your parents? Anybody out there? Start off when you're younger, we ask our parents for everything. They're kind of control the whole thing. As we grow up and be teenagers, do you kind of change that a little bit? Boy, I'll tell you what, I guess when I grew up it was totally different because I know that we bounced off each other almost constantly when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. You're with your friends a lot.
Yeah, I found since I got out of high school and started spending more time away from mom than with mom, my circle of influence with friends, and in the last 5 years or so, I'd say the amount that online interaction, whether it's with friends online or just with contact with news sources, I am so heavily influenced by technology now.
So I think that's a really good point. You guys in your generation have a lot more people that you can talk to, reach out to, get some influence from. When you're younger and you're in your house a lot, then your parents are going to be the biggest influence.
Yeah, Rose was just saying online,
Hey, Rose.
she already finds that her friends are amongst her greatest influences, and especially the older ones because they can serve as role models, which is a great point. So she's choosing to look at older friends not only as influencers, but as role models.
Good. Okay, so how about achieving balance? How can you tell when things are out of balance? Here we've got the hemophilia. We've got our friends and family. We've got activities that we're working on. We have rules and obligations to your family. You know, we just went through Thanksgiving. We had to show up for Thanksgiving. We couldn't go out with our friends. Those kinds of things that your family does together. What's balance? What does that mean? How do you know you're in good balance? Or maybe out of sync? Give me one or the other, yeah.
I guess I know when I'm out of balance or in balance. Like when everything runs smooth or you don't feel like there's shit or something's misplaced. Like that's how I know everything's in balance. Like if you don't feel too stressed or
I think that's it. I think that's, if you're not feeling stress
or
worry or anxiety, then things are going pretty well. So once some of those things get out of kilter, like your class assignment, maybe something's overwhelming, or for some reason your hemophilia is just, you've had a bad week and that kind of throws things out of balance. Otherwise, day to day to day would just go on. Anybody else?
I mean, when being around Thanksgiving, I was with a bunch of like little kid cousins, and it's funny how stress in my life can so quickly be reduced when I'm in the presence of like little kids who just want to like play with a ball, and in a way that becomes an influencer, and it gives me a little bit of balance. Robert, who's a father with a son who has hemophilia, was just saying with regard to the influencer part, how his son is a major influence on his life, and it's true. Like younger people can look up to older people as role models, like Rose was saying, and older people can look to younger people to kind of help balance things out and remember, you know, what grounds us, what's really important.
That's really a neat point. I love that. How about figuring out what's important in life? We aren't going to go to an easel, but what is the most challenging balance in your life, and what is your biggest priority, and how do you see those changing, and how can you picture your priorities? Okay, let's put this in. Can you stack up your priorities, and do they switch around and move around, and how do you go from changing your priorities and making decisions? That's a tough question. That's a really tough question. Yeah.
Definitely right now, like the most challenging thing is balancing schoolwork and like your social life, especially in high school. It's really hard to spend like an even amount of time with both of those things. And the priority in high school should be schoolwork. Sometimes things get out of balance and it's social.
So did you guys hear that? That she was just saying that it's when you're in high school, that there's such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Imbalance, or trying to balance your schoolwork and your social life, because when you're in high school, that's a big deal. Staying involved in your social life is a big deal, and how do you keep that balance? And how do you like step towards the social things and maybe leave your classwork behind, and how you figure out how those priorities need to work? Good, good. They're always changing. It's never going to be the same. And you have to learn, I guess, as you grow older, how to balance that, like we talked about the previous slide, and what those priorities are, and keep those priorities in your head as to what you want to go back to. Because I'm thinking the social thing is good, but the grades are really what your priority in high school would be. And that's speaking as a mother. Pardon? He just said that makes you have a happier life. If you're successful and feel good about what you're doing in high school and your classroom, don't you feel better about yourself? Well, you're way ahead. He said you're getting a better job when you get older, because grades and all that stuff is important for the future. Absolutely. So accepting and managing hemophilia. What do you think? Accepting hemophilia can't be ignored, can it? What happens, the ability to deal with adversity and recognizing strengths and limitations. So what's the upside of the hemophilia and keeping your strengths? Is there an upside?
Well, someone was talking earlier about the strength of the community in hemophilia. So in terms of an upside, I definitely view this community and strength of the community and support the community lends itself, both with regards to issues that we have as people with bleeding disorders and just as people. Be a tremendous upside, you know, a very, very strong silver lining to a gray cloud.
Well, I told you guys I've been a nurse for 100 years, and I have seen, stepping into the hemophilia community, being a nurse educator, there's nothing I've seen like it. The support that you all have with the chapters and the treatment centers and things like that, and having that group is second to none as far as I've seen. So that's a great upside, and the support that you can always go to somebody with those same challenges and talk to them. I think that's a good upside. So let's see what Enrique, and get this, taking responsibility for your own care. And we've talked about this a little bit before. Uh-oh. Hold on.
It looks like he's talking, but you can't hear
Technical
him.
support.
On there with you, kind of.
Let's do this, start this
Let's
over.
give Enrique a full
Let's
shot.
give Enrique one more chance.
You can do it, Enrique.
Do you see your doctor on your own? Think about this and think about you and see what you guys do. There we go. Sorry.
When I was 16, I started going to my doctor to learn more about myself.
myself, and that was the most difficult thing, and kind of the most scariest thing, because I was always used to having my mom there with me, kind of talking and saying some of the things that I might forget.
So how many of you guys actually go to the physician by yourself? Home here. Totally up. Okay, we have one. We have Patrick. Not yet. We haven't gotten there yet. So what's a good age to start doing that? I think if we heard Enrique correctly, he said 16. So he started going there by himself and mom stepped outside. So you can see that they were saying, well, with mom not being there, he didn't know what questions to ask. So maybe if you're thinking about going on your own, maybe you might want to put a mother's hat on and start thinking how mom, what would she ask if she went in there? And what do you want to ask them on your own? So being an expert on hemophilia, how do you learn about hemophilia? Where do you guys learn? Yep. Your mom. So she's taught you everything that you need to know. Anybody else? You've all learned from your moms? Really?
What about from your doctor?
What about from your doctors and your nurses? What do you learn from them?
Oh yeah, but
Well, he just said when he was smaller, the nurse would help him out with his medicine. And you could watch them with the infusions. You'd ask them, could you ask questions about that?
But I asked some questions how to do what I was supposed to do first, and when I'm little,
How, what? So he was saying that he asked the nurse because when he was little, he worked with his mom, but he couldn't remember what goes first, second, and third. What about when you get older? You feel like a robot? Well, because it comes second nature to you, with your infusion you need.
Yeah.
So you've learned so well. So what about now? What's going on? Where do you guys look to get more information, to learn? Education is crucial, yes, sir.
Internet?
The internet. Is that a good place to get information? There's this day and age, sometimes. This
Can't
day,
be on the internet if it's not true.
where have I
It's
heard
a
that
law.
before?
It's a law.
It can't be on the internet if it's not true. That's not correct. So, just saying. So, I mean, if you read something on the internet, would you validate that with somebody? Would you check that with somebody
Yeah.
to make sure? So you would probably ask mom, and then you guys might look it up together, and then just kind of go over that, because everything on the internet is not. Or ask him, Dad.
I know everything.
Oh, see, there you go. That's all you need.
What are some of the sources within the community, so specific to bleeding disorders? What are some of the sources online that you feel pretty comfortable trusting?
How about NHF?
NHS website?
Do you look there? Where else you look? You're thinking. Hemophilia Village. There's a couple websites, and I'll probably bet you I can give you a couple.
Or if you go to the NYCHC site, right? Like
The
Len
chapter,
runs, that's
the
got good
chapter.
information.
Yeah, so you can reach out to your chapters and get information there. How about moms and just your community?
Moms usually have good information.
Moms make sure that they get the right information. I should say moms/caregivers. Right?
You know, we have so many parents who have joined in today, so it is going back a little bit, but
That's fine.
I think it's worth noting how many of them are talking about how they look to their kids, along the lines of what we said earlier, of how often I think we can forget as teens and young people how much we influence our parents and influence people who are older than us, because we think it goes the other way, that the older people inspire the younger people. But it goes up the ladder too. I mean, not to be too I don't know, sentimental, but when I get off the phone with you guys and you've added 1 bazillion wall push-ups, and Denver won't get on the phone with me, but we talk on Facebook. And when he says, you know what, yeah, I finally started cutting back on soda, and when I hear about how the progress that literally all of you are making, that inspires me. It makes me actually want to listen to Zach and call and get my updated medical alert bracelet.
Oh yeah. So gee, how's that coming?
I called because I knew Zach would yell at me, and he did when we got on the phone. So I had done it just before I talked to him because I knew he was going to hold me accountable. So don't forget that power, because its impact is being reflected in the conversation that's being generated right now. That everything that you guys do inspires the people who look to you in your day-to-day life.
And my heavens, you could be inspiring your friends and you don't even know it.
Sure.
You know, to see what you're doing and how you're doing all this stuff, and just doing the same things that those guys are doing. So, detecting bleeding. So what are your detections? We all know the spots. Elbows. And how does it feel to you guys? I've heard you may feel a warmth in an ankle joint, knee, hip. It throbs. I also hear the bubbling and the like, just feeling like little bubbles are in there, so that it feels kind of like a pulsating. And you have to trust. Now, see, the other thing is, from my perspective as a nurse, then you have to begin to trust that those feelings are going to mean something to you, right? You don't know exactly what's going on. But you learn every single time. He was just saying that he feels like his leg will feel funny. Maybe not the bubbling, but just his leg will feel funny. So then he goes to his mom to have his mom look to make sure that that's what's going on. So every time those kinds of things happen to you, then what happens to your knowledge about what that feeling is the next time? I know that it's probably a bleed and I need to do something about that and report that to somebody. Because you don't always see bruises, do you? No. So that's something that you have to know and begin to trust your body and be able to report. And then when you get older, do what?
Take action.
Absolutely. So right now he feels funny and he reports it to his mom. When you get older, you just do it yourself. So once again, if you download the app, what you might do, and this goes for an app that applies to hemophilia or schedules or use of, like Patrick said, use of electronic devices to kind of give you tips and clues to keep up with your hemophilia. Maybe it buzzes or beeps or gives you a schedule or things like that. So you guys would need to use your electronics to enhance that information to make sure that you stay on target.
There's all kinds of like fitness apps, nutrition apps, and stuff to help with sleep schedules. And there's an app for
There's an
pretty
app
much
for that.
everything.
There's
Yeah.
an app for
There's
that.
a reason for the slogan. So don't hesitate to dig around. There's some really good stuff out there. People don't already know that.
Okay, I'm glad this is little writing because I don't want you to read it. Don't read the answers. Okay, no reading the answers. What do you do about emergencies? Yes.
So alone or with
Just if there becomes an emergency, what do you need to be prepared for an emergency? No, it just happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So what should you have that in the back of your mind about an emergency? Something comes up. Yep.
You gotta analyze the situation, recognize the surroundings.
You do have to recognize your surroundings. As a person with hemophilia, what are your emergency situations? What do you need to be prepared with? And you're looking at me, so you don't look at the answers. You should have your brother with you. What? You shouldn't. Oh, so his brother, he was scooting down on the skate, and he fell,
Yeah.
and his brother just watched him kind of, they didn't help him out much. So go get mom.
And then when you see, I just started running.
So maybe you need to teach your brother to help you out a little bit. Well, I'm going to say, do you guys always know, and this is something that mom's going to hand over to you, do you know you have supplies enough? If something comes up, do you have enough? I got some funny looks that maybe you don't take control of that mom still has control. Should you know if you have enough supplies on hand? Like if it's a snowstorm's coming or some emergency happens, you hear all the time emergency preparedness. Have you guys ever heard that before? Yeah. So in that emergency preparedness, what goes along with that? Making sure you have enough factor on hand. You don't want, yes sir.
You should recognize whoever's
You absolutely, how many people here have a medical alert bracelet? 1, 2. Oh, you do?
However outdated it may be, it's got the vitals and there's a new one coming.
Well, so that you make sure that that information is there, so that if, we talked about medical alert bracelets and what the purpose of that is before. You know, that make sure that that can speak for you if you can, so that that's got the information. How about, now you guys use electronics, how about a list of your physicians, medications that you take, the hemophilia treatment that you take, the dosage, your doctor, your hemophilia numbers you got. Oh, Lord, Denver's going, no, not all that. I can't have all that. Should that be somewhere?
Yeah, but yes, I know some of it. I don't know all of it. Like you know, certain things after a while it just like sticks in your head.
Right. So has anybody ever been to a hospital? Okay, what are the first couple things that they ask you? Person with hemophilia, they
Let me see your insurance card.
Do you have insurance? That's the first thing they ask you.
Okay, okay. I phrased that wrong. What's the second thing they ask you?
What are you here for?
What are you here
And
for?
what is your symptoms?
He's just saying, Mom. What's your medical history? Does anybody write that down? Should Mom pass that along to your kids so that you can start spitting those kinds of things out? Should you have that written somewhere so you step into some place that you have that information? If you're about to have some kind of, yes.
I just remember it had this like flash drive where it has like all my emergency medication.
You go to the top of the class. That's marvelous. He just said he has a flash drive that has all of his medical history, all your medications. Now, you know me, all those over-the-counter medications, all those vitamins that you take, everything, all the above, all that's on there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Perfect, perfect. So how about if you go for, what's an invasive procedure? If you were going to a hospital or you had to go, yes, sir?
Surgery.
Surgery is invasive, but you know, little things like, how about the dentist? Does the dentist have to know his medical history?
Yeah. But like when it's swollen.
And if they pulled on a tooth and it bled, blood might just keep coming out. So yeah, your dentist needs to know that medical history. So if you're going in there by yourself, you need to remind him that you're a person with hemophilia.
Along the lines of the flash drive that Denver was talking about, Zach was saying that he uses microhealth. You guys all heard of microhealth? You use it as well. Do you find that it helps you kind of, and that has your information stored in a secure way as well, right? So that's a great way to kind of, the less work you have to do to know your medical history, the better. That's for me, like as a lazy person, the less I need to do, the better. So if I can have it on a flash drive, or if I can have it stored on a secure website that my medical team has access to, that's ideal. One other thing about emergency planning, it's funny, emergencies are a lot like goals. It's all about planning. So we talked a bit last session about people who don't want to disclose that they have a bleeding disorder at school, and I think I may have even shared how when I would play sports in high school, I was sometimes slow to tell my coaches because I didn't want to be treated differently. But I'm reminded of, there's a story, and I know some of the people who are, correct me if I'm wrong, if I get this wrong, but Corey Parker, who was a baseball player that has hemophilia, was a pitcher, he never disclosed that because he was a professional athlete, didn't want that to affect his job. But once when off a pitch, it was hit directly into his head, and he had nothing on him signifying that he had hemophilia, but he was able to write in the pitching on the mound, hemo, before he passed out. So when the emergency services workers got there, they put it together, he got treated, he's fine. You don't want to have to rely on that.
Yeah.
So that is a great case for even if you don't want to disclose it to, say, a coach or gym teacher, wear the jewelry, wear the medical alert bracelet or necklace, whatever, because, you know, knock wood, you're never in that situation, but that can, you know, that can literally be the difference between life and death.
Absolutely speaking for you. We talked about emergency medical people actually go looking for that. That's the first thing that they look for. They touch your neck to see if you have and then down your arms to see that you have that. So that helps them identify you quicker, faster, better. So that's just always really good to know. I've met a lot of hemophilia people with hemophilia that don't wear medical alert bracelets, and that just needs to speak for you, or in your wallet. That's perfectly fine. So, do you have a plan? And like where to obtain factor if it's going to be an emergency? Just a thought? Just something that you might share? Just in case. So his mom has a big bag, goes everywhere they go, that has all that stuff. And at some point, it'll be your turn to take over all that.
So we need to have cooler.
We have, yeah, how about a backpack instead of a red bag? Yeah, that's better.
Maybe a Lamborghini that has a cooler factor in the back.
That's a good idea.
So making hemophilia management manageable. Now, this is, you don't have to confess to this. Think about it. Most of the time, half of the time, or a little less of the time. What are some thoughts and considerations encountering and managing hemophilia? What are some of the positive things? Okay, when we have something bad happens, you try not to figure out what we might flip that to a good thing. So if you ever had a situation that didn't work out so well, that you kind of learned a lesson from and you made it a good thing. Does that make sense? So if you had something, maybe you weren't really paying attention like you should. You kind of did a little something different, but you learned from it and made it a positive thing. Anybody?
About the riding the scooter incident, right?
Oh yeah, the rider in the. So what do you do about that scooter from now on? You don't go down big hills anymore. And you probably where you had long pants on. Did you have your protective?
It was in the summer, so I go.
You probably were in shorts. Anybody else?
You know what I've realized that kind of can throw me off is when we talk about this with emergency preparation, factor, and I travel a lot. I'm good about the factors. Sometimes what winds up running short, syringes and needles. So like tourniquet can kind of get around, alcohol swipe can kind of get around. I now have learned ways I can acquire syringes and needles if I need it, but it's not necessarily, that's only going to make it all the more inconvenient to do something I can otherwise do in 6 or 7 minutes. So I keep what Ryan and I like to call the idiot list. I literally will list out before I travel now because I can't remember stuff, all the things I need with regard to hemophilia, and make sure I look at them all and check them off the list to ensure that I have enough, because the number of times that I have forgotten the past year is a little bit embarrassing for somebody my age. So
Patrick, you're too young to forget.
it's never too, and you're never too old to need an idiot list,
Absolutely.
or too young, or in the middle.
Okay, you covered them all. How about this? Have you guys ever thought about this? And I guess Patrick and I talked about this. When it's time to go to adult HTCs. You guys ever thought about that? I guess you don't have to yet, but it's back in the back of your mind. You get this great rapport with the people that you're dealing with now, but then what age? How long do they keep you with the pediatrics in this area? I know pediatrics tends to end at 18, but sometimes they keep you 20. So think about it. What is it going to be different? What to talk to a new team? Just put that, I guess, in your long-term memory. We talked about that. And what you're going to do, because you know these people, you're comfortable with these people, but when you get to be 18, 19, or 20, you're going to have to switch and really be an adult and switch all your caregivers. Don't want to scare you, but long-term, think about how you're going to talk to them, using your own voice. Now, for you guys now, maybe you can begin to, you all aren't ready to turn to new positions and a new area, but how about using your own voice when you step into situations? How do you talk to professionals now? How do you get your opinion across? What do you do?
I have a question.
Yep.
Kind of going back to what you talked about earlier with the transition from mom taking it to him kind of taking ownership himself. Do you think it's a better idea for them to kind of do that transition while they're with the pediatrician who they've known for a while, as opposed to having a new doctor and now you're going all by yourself? Because if he goes and he doesn't know all the things to ask, but the pediatrician that he's been seeing is used to what mom asks, she might be able to help him during that transitionary period. Whereas if everything's new all at once.
Oh, sure. Oh, I absolutely do. I think that with right now, and I think that's a really good point. Right now, if you're going to your pediatric HTC, and then mom sits there, and maybe while mom is there, you begin to ask your own questions and get practice and step up on your own. And mom can be there, but maybe to ask those things that you've thought about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did the last time.
Good.
Like, so I wanted to know my blood type, and so I asked them. They said I couldn't find out because like they had to take a blood test, and then like
You asked for your blood type.
yeah.
And
It said to take a blood test. Well, it's on file, but then it doesn't matter if you know it or not because people tend to mix up their numbers, so they have to test your blood first. And so I never really.
you never learned it. It might be important someday for you to know your blood type. I think that you can, just like a person with hemophilia has a card that says you're hemophilia, you can also have a card, depending on what your type is, to put in your wallet that says what blood type you are. And in emergency situations, that is an excellent question. I think that's an excellent question for you to know. So I guess the point is, with your pediatrician, with your pediatric HTC, you can begin to exercise your voice, and then when it's time to flip over and do it on your own when you're 20, 21, maybe that'll be a little bit easier. What do you think?
And again, that's a great opportunity to use the community because, now, like Robert, who travels a lot, dad of a kid with hemophilia, was saying that he has a good relationship both where he lives with the HTC and in California because he's there a lot. So that it's accounted for in both places. He has the emergency number of both places. I'm in a position now where I might be switching my HTC because of the amount of time I spend in California. The first thing I did was reach out to community members like Glenn, like Linda Mugford, like Robert, people who I trusted to hear what they had to say about, oh, this place is great, they blah, 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 blah. So you can use the community members as you get older if you find you want to settle down in another state. Or if you just need to change from, the peds doctor to the adult doctor, use the community.
You feel like you're old enough, if you feel like that. Yeah, I think that's a great point. So how about sometimes you're not feeling yourself, or less motivated. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever been, what does depression mean to you? And once again, don't look at all the answers. Yep.
Depression to me is like stress and everything is overwhelming, and then I guess it turns into like sadness, and it brings you down.
Yep.
I feel like depression is sadness.
Sadness.
Like, where you feel like not being able to do anything, not wanting to do anything.
So emotionally, you're sad. Cry easily. You kind of stay to yourself. How about socially? What do you do when you're feeling like that? What happens socially when you're feeling like that? Yep.
Kind of like isolate yourself, or you are isolated.
And you're not doing anything like you usually do. You're not like participating with your friends. You're not doing anything. How about physically? What do you do physically?
Pajamas and Netflix.
Yeah.
Pajamas and Netflix, sleeping, tired, fatigued, going from the bed upstairs to the couch and just pulling those covers up, and you're feeling kind of blue. So, and we talked about functionally, you're not doing anything either. You're probably not participating in school. You kind of checked out. You're not paying attention. I think we all go through those kind of things. We're all humans. We all tend to go through those little blue periods like that. But what I'm going to tell you is, if it turns out to be something that is more than 2 weeks, can you identify it in yourself? Do you know if you've been doing this for 2 weeks, would you reach out to somebody?
Probably before that, I would talk to somebody.
He says probably before that,
yeah, I'm with
you would
you on
talk to
that.
somebody.
Because it's not fun to feel that way. I mean, I have those days where literally like getting out of, especially if I don't have to be somewhere. Like it's a weekend, you don't have school, you don't have work. If I don't have to be somewhere and I'm in a depressed state, it can be a monster just to rise from there. Like this physical act of sitting up. Like I convince myself I don't actually have to urinate because I don't want to stand now. That's not a fun place to be in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not waiting 2 weeks. I have to get over myself and then just call a friend and just talk or hear someone else's life.
Is that something common, and excuse me, for males to do? Is that something easy for you all to do, just to reach out to a friend and say, I'm feeling, I know ladies, girls, we'll get our best friend and we'll get on the phone. If we're feeling blue, we'll just let it out and then we feel better.
I like to talk to my dad.
Would somebody identify depression in you?
Well, I talk to my friends at job, like, and I need to help through it.
That's wonderful.
What was the question?
Okay, how about another one? Do you can't you're telling me that you identified in yourself,
Well, yeah.
and that you're feeling blue. So you say that you feel pretty successful about reaching out to your friends. How about your friends? Can you identify it in your friends?
Yeah. I guess, like, if they're down, and stuff. Because, like, sometimes when the phone and talk, they sound, like, kind of sad or tired and stuff. And then ask them, are you okay?
Are you okay? Because you can even hear it in their voice. You can even hear it in their voice. So you say, are you okay? Is there anything going on? Yep.
At school, I get told my friend that I'm tired to post the cab because usually
He's full of energy, and then you can just tell that he's different.
sometimes his phone is down or when we go to continue to play soccer and all this and be like, when he's like sad or confused,
He doesn't participate, so you can see it right away. So I'm thinking your friends can see it in you too. Now, my point here is, and it scares me sometimes, the things that I hear on the internet with things that are going on with young people, that they speak the word suicide. So here comes my little bit of preaching. There's no reason for a young person to have a problem that they cannot talk about. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, that they can't reach out or you can't reach out to them. And if you hear that word, or you feel that way, there are resources that you can talk to. If it's not a friend, it's not a family, there's a place to go to talk about that. Because that's just, I cannot think of a problem that a teenager should have that would encourage you to hurt yourself in that way. So, go ahead.
One mom just shared something tear-jerky about how when her son was 5, he said that he was ready to go to heaven because he knew he wouldn't have to get shots there. And another mom echoed a similar sentiment, that she had an experience like that with her kid as well. So I think it's good just hearing that too, remembering not just for us to speak up, but like you've been saying, Linda, when you recognize in a friend that maybe they're feeling down, to never underestimate the power of reaching out to somebody and just saying like, hey, how you doing? Because there's no reason that a 5-year-old should have to feel that way, or a teenager, or anyone. It's a big, another dad was just saying too, sometimes making sure we have enough balance in our life. Like we've talked a lot about the community, and obviously we're here because of the community, but making sure that our lives are not just hemophilia,
Right.
because that can get, I know I feel
Overwhelming.
sometimes, it just
Yeah.
becomes too much.
Too much.
So knowing when to engage
out.
the community and when you got to step out and just be like, I want nothing to do with it for a minute. I need my
Well, just
space.
like with moms, we talked about once upon a time, just like with moms, with making sure that because the moms can be overwhelmed, depressed, guilt, feeling all those kinds of things, and letting the caregivers step out of some of that a little bit, and maybe letting them step out of the hemophilia clinic at night or so, because we don't want that to happen to them as well. We don't want our moms and our caregivers to get depressed and maybe think, oh, I can't take this anymore. So the good thing is that all of you have said that you feel comfortable not only reaching out to friends, but you also can step up to your friends when you identify that they're having a problem. And I love that, because there's just, yes, sir.
She wasn't really a friend, but she got suspended for cutting herself, and so I started talking to her about trying to
That's sweet.
That's awesome.
I don't know if anybody heard that, but he said that this young lady really wasn't his friend, but she got suspended for cutting herself. So just, that's,
her mom got in treatment, so
so she had a lot of
her
problems.
dad doesn't care
So you became her friend. Isn't that sweet? That's very dear. So you identified that and just stepped up and became his
I
friend.
have a question. Do you guys feel comfortable talking to and I'm asking you too, do you guys feel comfortable talking to the social worker at the HDC
Good question.
about things, like that? Because I know myself, aside, as a veteran, I've been where I don't want to talk to a mental health professional because for so long, this country has had this
Stigma
about that, and that's all bull crap. So I just want to see, do you guys feel comfortable talking to the social worker about things like that?
I mean, and that's a really good point. If it's something that you're harboring and maybe something, fear, sadness is just overwhelming you, and gee, can you hide it from your parents? Absolutely. Yeah, you can. They can. They can pretend.
Yeah.
They can get through your answers. Teenagers, trust me, they can get through the answers, check off the boxes with mom, still go up to their room and feel blue and sorry for themselves. So being able to feel like you can pick up the telephone and talk to the social worker or somebody in the medical professional that I'm feeling this way and I need some help. Because trust me, those things that you hear on the internet about those young ladies, that just recently a young woman was bullied and I hate to say killed herself, but she did. But her mom didn't know. So it's possible to hide it from you. Believe it or not, they can hide from you. And that, I think that's a wonderful point, is can you reach out to a medical professional yourself? Social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists. There's nothing wrong with that.
In the HTCs, mine's always had the social worker there. I was not comfortable when I was like your guys' age talking to the social worker if I felt like seriously down. But my fear was always that they were going to share it and I was going to get in trouble.
Confidential information.
And I knew that. I knew it was confidential. I knew nothing could happen, but I just didn't believe it at that age. And I've since gotten way over that. And I have a great relationship with the social worker there, and she knows a lot about my life. And I've never been in trouble for it. So I guess if you can learn that quicker than I did, it can only go to bed.
Well, because and professionals can teach you triggers that maybe they can help you identify what takes you into depression, to keep you out of that, to make sure that that's not happening. So,
Yeah.
I just want to add something on the social worker topic. If you find that you suspect that something's wrong with the child, what I personally did, and I was expecting that to answer when you asked me that question about social worker, I secretly mentioned to her that I would like him to have a session with him, and she just did it in the normal way that we go in for a 6 months checkup, and she had a talk with him, and she kind of gets in, and he knows her since he was little.
right.
So he was comfortable with her to talk to him. So as a parent, if you find that something is not right, if you get an instinct that something is not right, you could also do it and not let them know that you did it, and she's not going to say anything to them.
That's a great point,
That's
because
what
maybe
I
you have,
did, but I
maybe as a
find-
parent, you have a sense
Yeah.
that something's wrong, but you can't put your finger on it.
Right. And I turned out to be just a little bit concerned because she said nothing is going on at JSF in school. He's going through his transition with analysts and whatever, but being as a parent who never had to, go through this stage, I was just getting a feeling, I want to know if something is going wrong because I'm so concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's hard when
absolutely.
you can't relate to what they're going through. It's
Right.
hard to parent.
Because he talks to me, but not every, like you said, they will hide it, and then I go with my gut instincts. If my instinct is telling me something is wrong with either one of my children, I will check it out.
And I started thinking that when you brought up the moms talking about the 5-year-olds, I think in that situation, I would, even as early as that, say, hey, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
What can we do?
Ken Baxter is a dad too in the community. He just echoed the same sentiment. It's just creating as positive an environment for sharing and expression as possible. And I think that's something that can also be. We talked earlier about as guys, do you feel comfortable picking up the phone and talking to a friend? Likewise, it can be seen as socially, odd for a male to be very expressive. It's not it violates some kind of social norm. But I don't abide by that at all. But making sure that we create as comfortable an environment for expression as possible.
But it might be something, I think you hit on it, might be something that they're holding on to that they don't want to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
So having that gut reaction and that sense that there's something going on that the social worker being a friend and somebody that you knew and grew up with, that they feel comfortable telling what it is.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're not going to find out what it is because that's confidential information, but trusting that that social worker is helping your son get through whatever that crisis is or whatever that problem is.
And it turned out to be that he was concerned about me. And right there and then, it was resolved because she asked him permission if he wants to tell me in front of her. And it moved on. He was very concerned that I was overwhelmed and I was, getting sick and, a lot of things that's going on. So sometimes, it's good to do it, a day. And he was happy that I did it, not knowing that I did it. He thought it was she.
But it turned out really well.
Yes,
it really
did
turned out
work
well.
out, and it's much better now. And I don't see him, getting concerned, and a couple changes was made, and it worked out.
That seems to be a common theme too. Because he carries, I think, a lot of the weight of the burden that his mother is carrying. And to hear that, again, maybe that's something common. Do you guys feel that as well?
Maybe.
Maybe that way, they'd be very quiet.
I didn't let them get coffee when they came in. That's
That's the problem.
my fault.
Just remember, talking and there's suicide hotlines. I just want to make sure that you guys know that there's that is out there. We've talked about, and certainly this is part of the things that we've talked about, figure out the right activity for you. We've all done that with all this series of education. So what I can say about that is you reach out to your HCC once again with your physical therapist, your likes, dislikes, and what's best for you to get that activity and keep that activity going. I always say I'm never picking golf. That's too frustrating and I would never do it. So it's boring. It's a lot of exercise. It's good. But it's just not my talent, so I'm not going to pick it. So we're going to listen to Dominic and see his point.
Go, Dominic.
Now, hopefully.
Oh, he's getting the Enrique treatment.
Stop it.
We're going to test Patrick's voiceover skills.
More beat.
Good sign.
I'm Dominic Lynn, 17 years old. I got in playing golf when I was 5 years old, after I found out hemophilia when I was a little kid. Usually in the fall, I practice and play a lot of golf. Winter, I play in the domes, and during the spring, during the golf season, I practice every day, and I play at least one round a day with the team. Yeah, I play on my school team at Fruity. I played number 1 varsity. I've been playing varsity since 7th grade, so it's been a fun experience on the team. My favorite thing about playing golf is that you can play it forever.
So he picked something that he fell in love with, and now he can play that forever. I think that's a really
Or like Rose said last time, right? If you can't play, manage. Wasn't that her
right. That was
basketball?
Yep. You still stay
There's
out
always
there,
a
and you
way.
still put your breath. There's always a way. Responsibility for helping your parents let go. Finding your own way. What about that? Finding your own way, and can you feel frustrated being told something constantly? Have you ever thought about restrictions? Hi. Go ahead.
So this summer I went to camp and one of the activities they had for us was they would take us to an amusement park. And but the thing about it is my doctor put on the paperwork that I couldn't ride roller coasters. And then I was just like, what? I was like blindsided. And I went back to the HTC that summer, we had an appointment. And I asked them the same question, well, why wasn't I able? And she said because it would be a risk. And then I was kind of upset about that. So,
Yep, I mean, have you
She explained that to him that
could be the joking off that, you know, you don't want something to happen. Because now as you get older, the bigger rides are more dangerous than when you were a little kid.
Sure.
But he was really upset about it because he, in his point of view, he felt like, you know, it was safe, it wasn't, you know, a lot of joking up, but she said that she's not gonna let him do it, and he has to understand that in case something should happen out there where you might think it's safe, it's
Some
not
of
gonna
those
be
roller
dangerous.
coasters
Horrible. I would like one.
well, I would never do that. Oh.
Which is bad for anybody.
Yeah, that's not a good outcome for anybody.
And it's something important to remember, like Adil, maybe you guys know Adil? He lives here. Hi, Adil. He was just saying, he and I both went to the Double H camp in upstate New York, and it's a camp that serves not just kids with hemophilia, but kids with all kinds of life-threatening or chronic illnesses. And I remember when I was 8, 9 being there and realizing like, oh, I can't play football, or I might not be allowed on this roller coaster, but this kid can't do this other thing, that kid can't do that other thing, and how restrictions are a part of everyone's life, whether they have a medical condition or not. Restrictions are a part of life. So I used to get really bummed out about things like that, and now I just acknowledge we all have everyone in this room has restrictions placed upon them. Some of us need to consider the restrictions of someone with hemophilia, but restrictions are just a part of existence.
And what the results can be. So because of those restrictions, do you ever do any of these high bleeds? Or maybe felt a little bit different?
Absolutely.
Because you were just saying that you were maybe one of the only persons that couldn't get on that roller coaster, so you feel a little bit different. So, Nate, how about this? Pushing the limits. Do you ever see how far you can go? I've heard a lot, you know, when you're a little guy, mom takes care of you to make sure you never have a bleed. You hit teenager, what happens? You hide it, you think, it can't be so bad, I've never had a bleed, I just really don't have to take this medication. Right. So do you push the envelope a little bit? Do you see how far you can go?
Sometimes I don't do the medication I'm supposed to because I just don't want to.
Well, I think that's two. He said sometimes he just doesn't do his medications when he's supposed to because I just don't feel like it. I think that's fair.
It's human.
That's human, you know.
And he doesn't get very many bleeds, so he's on a prophylactic regimen. So, you know, he's told us before, you know, well, I didn't feel like anything was wrong or going to happen, so I just didn't do it. I'm not saying it's okay. Like, we got on to him about it. I'm just saying he has expressed that to us.
Well, in the same way, Dill, like, you didn't go from doing 20 wall push-ups to doing 120. You gradually push that limit, right? So if you're on I don't know what your exact treatment schedule is, but if you're on one that's 3 or 4, like I'm on 4 or 5 times a week. But if I feel as though I want to back off of it, I'm not going to drop down to 1. I might drop down to 3 to 4. And if that seems to be a decent baseline, drop down a little bit more. I'm going to communicate with my doctor about that as well, but I'm going to do it gradually. So pushing limits, we should absolutely be pushing our limits. Absolutely. It's about doing it in a safe and timely way.
Well, if I don't do it, I do it like the next day.
There you go.
Do it even if it's not going to get me else.
Just to make up.
Yeah.
But maybe even, like Patrick said, we push limits. That's, you know, to see how far we can go and see what we can accomplish, but certainly in an educated, well-informed guidelines. But if it's just something for the now, you might want to try to stop, take a deep breath, and consider your risks. Would it have been worth it for you to get on that roller coaster? Oh, don't answer that. How about this? I mean, you guys ever heard of this? Helicopter mom or Velcro dad? Never heard of that? The helicopter mom means always hovering. Always watching. You know they're always there. What is this? This is a good question. What are the topmost in your business moves your parents have made related to your hemophilia? What do you think? Or you don't? You let them go ahead and take control of everything. Mom, I can do that. Mom, I can hear that in my head, and I'm not your mother. Mom, let me do this by myself. What are those things that you can do on your own and you repeatedly say, Mom, Dad, I can handle it.
My mom still makes sure I'm on my Crocus schedule. I'm 28 years old. And I still constantly ask if I infused, when did I infuse? Oh,
A mom never stops being a mom.
I didn't see you infuse. Like, yeah, because I didn't like.
that for us.
Yeah, I've been like carrying signs. I just did it. I did it all.
But moms aren't good. And what is their end results really if they're hovering and watching and keeping account? What are they? They're only trying to help and make sure you stay safe and do what you're supposed to do. Oh. Of course not. They don't want you to get hurt. We're certainly dying or having something tragic happen. So now let's just third time's the charm. Let's see if how do you have your parents let go?
When Hunter was younger, we set as a goal for him to be able to infuse by himself. And he met that challenge, and it took a lot of work. He had some messy infusion times, but he learned how to do it. The most problem that we've had really is that I've kind of annoyed him with reminding him, and he hasn't wanted to be annoyed. I think sometimes when young people are in adolescence, some of these issues can become a power struggle between the parent and the child.
Wow, what do you think? How do you help your parents let go? You guys have a little bit of time to think about this and put this in your long-term memory. This is a situation in 2 weeks, and I don't care, substitute tennis for anything. Substitute, you want to go do something, and you go ask your parents, I want to do, you want to do soccer. And they said, well, your mom really doesn't think it's a good idea because it might cause a bleed. How do we handle that? It's 2 weeks away, yep.
Well, they just shut it down. Like, I can, like, not really navigate. Hopefully he wants to say no is no.
No means no, period, end of sentence.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You can like ask them to stop bugging you for a little while and just like tell them that like you're gonna show them that you're responsible.
Perfect. What were you gonna say?
That's what I'm saying.
You guys said the exact same thing. So what she was gonna say is maybe calm that first reaction. No, you can't do that. That's going to cause you to bleed. I don't want you to do that. We have moms who are hovering. We're watching. We're making sure that you're doing okay. So no, we want to put you pretty much in bubble wrap and make sure that nothing ever happens to you. That's what moms do. Bubble boy. Huh?
I'll still be able to I can't do it because I really want to.
If it's your passion, let's look at this. Who said, here's an option, you want to maybe wait and ask a little bit later. Here's one that would probably make Mom real happy. I'm going to go ask Dad. Does that work out for you? Mom says no, well, I'm going to go ask Dad. How does that work for you? Huh?
That's what my little sister does.
That's what your little sister
I'll
does?
ask my mom, can I order it? And she said no.
Moms take that really well when you get a no from Mom and go right to Dad, huh?
It's sort of like goes both ways. Like sometimes they're like flex. As dad, she's like no, ask mom.
But well, I'm saying, Mom's not saying go ask Dad. You're saying, Mom just said no. Oh, I'm going to go ask Dad. How does that go? How does that work out for you? I'm
They
thinking,
don't really do it. They just like say no.
I think we just saw the dynamic take place
Yeah.
here.
So
Not
because-
well was the result.
What?
Not well was
Not
what I
well.
gathered.
Because Mom says no, and then see, Dad doesn't know, you just asked and got a no. So you go over and speak to Dad and say, how about playing tennis?
Sure.
See? And then Dad says, sure. And what does that do in your house? Oh. Huh?
Argument.
Actually, Dad texts Mom to find out what Mom said, and then make sure that they say the same thing.
A smart dad would do that.
See, because he said yes. He just said yes. But a smart dad with certain wonderful technology helps you communicate really quickly to not have that happen. So how about asking the social worker? If you felt comfortable, you might reach out to the HTC, talk to the social worker, talk to your physical therapist, maybe something like that. Or maybe Mom and Dad might do that. Follow your treatment better. Who said that? If you're taking better care of yourself, you're following your treatment, are you proven to your Mom and Dad that you can go on with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And they might let you give it a try. worth a try. How about talking about hemophilia with others? So let's,
You know, when I graduated college and I got my first job, I had, you know, the decision to tell my boss. I've been, not that I hate hemophilia, but I told the people that needed to know in my life that I had hemophilia, because I was afraid of being treated differently. I have hemophilia doesn't mean I can't do things.
so in the end, you feel, if you're a person with hemophilia and telling family and friends, certainly seeking goals and communications and awareness of what needs are being met to enhance open relationships. So who you tell, what you tell, when you tell is kind of your business, right? Opening up about hemophilia, deciding who you're going to tell is your personal choice. But girlfriends, friends, family, do you all share your friends and family with what's going on in schools? I know we do it with little guys, but as you get teenagers, I guess probably those people that are closest to us we tell.
And from the conversation online earlier, it sounds like the majority of people talking here are very open about it. And
That's just wonderful to hear.
yeah, I mean, that's certainly my preference as well. Again, just so that in worst case scenario, everybody understands what's going on.
When you're ready to tell others, you know, it's certainly giving them as much information as you can, you know, make it clear, concise, so that, because there's still very little that a lot of people know about hemophilia. You know, that you can't catch it, what it is, I'm not going to bleed to death, things like that. So a calm relationship, a quiet place with a best friend or people that you're going to school with, or maybe as you grow older with your employers. Finding someone to talk to, because that's not been a problem for you guys, because we reached to hemophilia camps now. Everybody's been to a hemophilia camp and identified with friends and reaching out to friends and family and talking to them. Certainly local HGC, social worker network, nacho events. How about other considerations? How about this? Drugs and alcohol. Big, big deal. What is, really quickly, what do drugs and alcohol do to you? Yep. Alcohol's a blood thinner, perfect. So guess what else it does? It makes you maybe push the boundaries a little bit and maybe make poor decisions. Just to let you know, because you all of a sudden feel this Superman, I'm brave, I can do this. If you're absolutely. Yep, even if you did your meds, he was saying you do something stupid, you hurt yourself, and you end up, what, in an emergency situation.
Or bruises that you sometimes may not remember how you got them, or prefer not to have them.
Not even feeling for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of, I mean, you know, in my experience, you guys are years and years and years away from this, but it's so important. I mean, general drug and alcohol intelligence, right? So let's apply that and put that to the side. With regards to taking care of yourself as a person with hemophilia, don't forget that you have it. Make sure you're infusing. I know if I'm going out, forget the part where you might be drinking, right? If you go out with friends, you're going to be on your feet for a long time, you know? So I'm going to be standing around on a Target joint for hours and walking, infuse, and then make sure, too, you can get the proper amount of rest you need. If you don't infuse, you don't get enough rest, you're putting thinners in your body, walking around all night, next day is going to be rough. Trust me.
So know that, just so that you know, and on that resource page, teens.drugabuse, the full spot, and above the influence.com, here's some websites that you can go to, get your information, just stay informed about those kinds of things. Okay, sex and issues with hemophilia. Good, better, and different, that's part of growing up and learning about that, and where you talk to and who you talked about. Those kinds of things is extremely important. It might be one of those things that you want to talk about. You certainly talk to your parents about it. I'm not going to underestimate that. But there might be some questions that you might want to talk to the social worker by yourself to get some input into those kinds of things.
And again, you know, reach out to other people. I mean, even just now, there's back and forth between some of the people from last time and some of the older people in the community about drinking and hemophilia. Like, ask those who are a little bit older what their experiences have been. That's not medical advice, that's social advice,
Right.
but it's valuable.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, here's this is a new website, stepsforliving.hemophilia.org. If you guys, that's a place for you to read and learn. It's just been revamped, and it has all kinds of answers for you and questions in different ages, different age groups, and it's really something that you might want to look at. How about body piercing and tattoos? Oh, no. What's your helicopter mom going to say? Anyway, what I'm going to say is reach out to your HTC. If that's something that you want to do, we'll start there. Certainly ask your parents. That's number one. Ask your parents, talk to your parents about piercing and tattoos, okay, whether you need to talk to them. Certainly then we talk to the HTCs. And then if that's something that you need to do, remember, there are risks involved. These places have needles. Okay, you need to know that there's bloodborne pathogens involved in that. So if you decide to do it with that guidance, look at that place. How clean is it? How sterile is it? What's going on there? And know that there are risks involved.
So do you think you were really sorry your parents were doing this, and where did you think it's not where you guys would see?
Oh, he just said it really nice. Would you really think that this is something you're going to talk to your parents about? And maybe you could get it in a spot where your parents can't see. You really? But you're going to wear a shirt all the time?
I don't want to get tattoos.
Jill's got 18 already.
Yes.
18 tattoos.
But they're cool ones.
They're really cool ones.
Well, first of all, I think you have to be at least 18 years of age to do that independently without a parent supervision. What I'm saying is being cautious about it. If it's something that you really have a passion for, and I know that's to be a trend in this generation that they do, there's important pros and cons, just like all the other things that you're planning and doing and looking at, not just something that you willy-nilly go out and do, right?
I have two. I went to my HTC and I was like, the first one I knew I was getting, so I didn't even ask permission. I just said, hey, I'm doing this. What do I need to know? And they're like, that's fine. And they gave me like kind of, here's what you should, make sure you have enough water, make sure you infuse beforehand, infuse 12 hours after. They gave me a plan, and then their biggest concern was just that it was a reputable place, the same kind of general tattoo safety. So again, I sort of went into it like with my chest puffed out, like, I'm doing this, so don't even try to stop me. They're like, go right ahead, just, take care of yourself. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, thanks guys.
It's a beautiful butterfly tattoo, you guys should see it.
Yeah, it's pink, it's gorgeous.
Very nice. Looking ahead, you can certainly talk about your future. There's no reason. You guys are like in high school, and you're not, but you're going to get there. There's no reason that you shouldn't look at what things to consider for your future. Financial security, health insurance, independence, and self-esteem. Well, I guess my question is, you don't really want to take your mom with you either to college if you're planning to go to college. So maybe those kinds of things you'll want to think about in moving on and start thinking about your future. She don't want to go to college.
And in 7th grade, they didn't take that because
In
high school. So
In 7th grade, they what?
taking grades in high school, so they could pick you.
Oh, does it start at 7th grade for college? They
So
take those
here
grades?
in New York, you can apply to different schools.
Oh, different high schools, so that you can actually get into a special high school,
Yeah,
whatever your talents are. Well, that's a great thing, to start thinking about what you like, interests and talents now.
Yeah, they do teach everything, but it's mainly like that one thing that the school.
Wow, then that's really preparing you for maybe what you want to do in the future. Resources for planning your career. Did you guys know there are scholarships out there that they're fairly underutilized, I think? So just remember, there's that Steps for Living.hemophilia.org, hemophilia scholarships, Hemaware, and hemafed.org. Please make sure you use them. I've heard from some of these places that this money is for college and technical schools, and they're underutilized. So know that they're there, and certainly use them to get you to college or wherever you want to go. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, life doesn't come with a rule of instructions or a label. It's going to change for all of us. So you guys need to learn how to adapt and move and try to be open. In the hemophilia community, your best resource and your best support is what? Family, friends, and your HTC. it's second to none. So I just want to say thanks for listening, and thanks for inviting me. And this is the end of our series, and I'm going to, this ends my part of the communication, and I'm going to turn this over to Deb Schachter.
Thank you, Linda.
Don't forget the handouts and the evaluations are in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. I realize for some of you, this might be our third go-around of resources, but I just want to make sure you remember them. And then for some online, maybe you haven't seen them, but I'll try to kind of pull out what Linda talked about just to try to keep some of the resources. We've mentioned a few times Steps for Living. This is something that the NHF has. It's a wonderful site. It's really good for those kind of different transitions, like, oh, I need a letter for the school, or how would I explain this, or starting your first job. And it's in English and Spanish. It's a wonderful resource, and I would highly recommend people, if you're in a situation, you're like, I wonder if a resource exists for this situation, to check it out. Someone also mentioned Hemophilia Village. That's Pfizer's website, and we have a variety of things on that website as well. Things that are specific to our products and programs, as well as general information. And a lot of what Pfizer does is also structured by age group, teenage years, independence, things like that. So I strongly encourage you to check it out. You can also sign up. I think, Linda, you hand out your card to receive that either by some kind of email communication or old-fashioned paper, whatever you prefer. Nacho was mentioned. That is a conference for camps. So I know everyone has participated in camps. This is something, and who knows, as you get older, maybe you would be the one to be able to go. But Nacho is a conference held every year. I believe it's out in Arizona every year. And they talk about best practices of what would be best at the camps. So you might want to check with your chapters to see if I don't know, New York City, do you guys go to Nacho, Glenn? I'm not sure, but that conference?
We don't go to Nacho, but the camps that we work with do.
Okay.
That's a great.
So who knows, maybe down the road you would be the person to go to this conference, but it's something definitely worth checking out. You may be able to get some more information. I know a lot of people like to go to the camp and then become involved later. WFH training program, just very briefly, the WFH pairs treatment centers here in this country that obviously we have really the best care out there with treatment centers in developing countries, and kind of share those best practices with those developing countries. So it's a really nice program. Leading Edge is a kind of what I described as an outward bound program. It's often run at the camps or kind of retreats, family retreats, and it's a nice resource. And then that number 888-999-2349 is our hotline, so I would say feel free to call that number if you have any questions, and they can refer you to where you need to go. RSVP, and I have brochures in the back, is our patient assistance program. It's for both of our products. So if you found that you needed assistance, I strongly encourage you to contact RSVP. It's something Pfizer offers for all their products, or if you hear of someone in a situation, then you certainly call and see. And it's for both insured patients, there's resources, and uninsured. And then lastly, we also have what we call our trial prescription programs, which is a way for people, if they would like to try our products free of charge, that they can do. Again, I have information in the back. Your treatment center would have information on that. And then last, I thought that was my last slide. Lastly, we have our factor savings card. Is if you if you do have a commercial insurance but have a co-payment, co-insurance, or deductible related to your factor and you're on a Pfizer product, you would be eligible to save $500 annually. Again, I have information in the back on that as well. And I think that's truly it. I want to thank you guys so much. It's been really great. I know a lot of familiar faces at this point. So at this point, I'm officially ending the Pfizer portion of the program, and I will turn it back to Patrick and I, and thank you so much.
Just to piggyback on one thing that they said about the scholarships in particular, since a lot of you guys are either coming up on that or right in the midst of that, I agree that they are vastly underutilized. We're a small community, and there's only so many of us who are at the stage where you're about to go into school or a training program. So do go to Steps for Living, check out the scholarship opportunities that there are. One of the moms was just saying there's also financial programs for parents, maybe furthering education for parents. I'm not aware of that, but there's a lot out there. Go to Steps for Living, check it out, and make use of these resources. So we are coming up on 3 o'clock. We're going to take a short break and have some healthy snacks. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to be back. We're going to have cleared the room out and make room for Will. He's going to go over some cardio work through non-contact boxing. Let's all wave to Will. That guy works out. Okay, so take a quick break, clear some space, we'll be back at 3 and have some fun.
You stay there.
Hey, everybody.
Will. This way. If any of the parents want to come over and learn,
I'll be there.
as well.
Do you want me to?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
Trooper Mark.
Got some moves. All right, so are we back in? All right, rock and roll. Okay, so this is. You guys want to come over here?
Oh,
Thank you. This is my personal trainer, Will, who for the last year has been teaching me boxing and some core strength stuff. And I thought it would be super fun and a little bit outside the box to have him come and work with us today. So I'll turn it over to Will.
Hey guys, first I'd like to say thanks for having me. It is definitely an honor and a pleasure to be here. My name is William Wright. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Core Remastered. And what we do at Core Remastered is we help people achieve their fitness goals. Now when I was asked to be here today, I was like, wow, that's great, that's awesome. Because I want you guys to know that staying active is very, very, very important. Don't ever think just because you have this illness that you're limited in any way, okay? When it comes to, being active and having fun and doing things. Okay, you don't have to lay down and just say, oh, there's nothing fun I can do and things like that. Because there's tons of fun activities you can do alone, with your friends, with your family, as I see some parents have joined in, okay? So today what I want to do with you is I want to show you something that I like to call shadow boxing. Now I didn't invent it obviously, but it's a fun thing that you guys can do. Shadow boxing incorporates all the muscle groups around the core and all your outer extremities, okay? Now the name Core Remastered comes from core, meaning the foundation of strength. So the stronger your core is, the stronger your body becomes.
Can you show us the core, specifically what you're referring to?
Now the core is all the muscles that work around the hips and midsections. Now a lot of people say when you think core, they think, oh, six-pack abs. But actually, your biggest and most important core muscle is your butt. And there's a lot of core movement that involves using your butt and your hips that's going to help you really strengthen. Why is it important to have good, strong core strength? As I said before, it's the foundation of strength. The stronger your core becomes or is, the more it protects all the muscles that work around your joints. Now, the stronger your muscles are around your joints, the more efficiency and integrity you will have at your joint action. So it's very, very important that you understand that muscles move joints. So if you want to have greater or stronger muscle or joint activity, you have to improve the strength of the muscles that work around those joints. So, shadow boxing. Has anybody here ever done any kind of shadow boxing and stuff before? You might have tried it.
I watched Rocky.
You've watched Rocky? Okay, I promise you we will not be hitting slabs of meat today. Okay? Don't suggest anyone ever does that. Okay? Now, what I like, when I approach boxing and with my clients, I try to bring the fun aspect to it. I like to call it boxing for cardio, boxing for strength. Not so much, preparing you for the ring. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not getting in the boxing ring. But I like to make a fun activity. So I designed a fun way for my clients to approach boxing and like it without feeling so stressed by all the technique aspects of it. So let's warm up a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna, just put one foot forward. If you're left-handed, who's here is left-handed? Left-handed people?
Just me? Wow.
So we'll do everything on the right side. All right? We'll put your left foot forward. Okay. Now, to make sure your core is engaged, just simply draw your belly button in nice and tight. Chest up, shoulders back. All right? We're just gonna rock a little bit. Moving the hips, We're just gonna start taking our arms. We're gonna warm up like this. You know, you can even get a nice little song in your head like. Oh, sorry. Because I started going dance. Just gonna warm it up. Now we're gonna move the shoulders a little bit. You know, just get the body warmed up. Still moving those hips. You know, shake it out a little bit. Get nice and warmed up. Now we're gonna just put a little more intensity into the movement. Just again, you wanna warm up your body. And get your joint and the muscles ready for a little activity. Everybody feeling good? Yeah. All right, everybody looks good. All right. Now, hold in this position. We'll teach you the first punch. Hold this position now. Now again, your belly button drawn in tight. I want you to think to yourself, every movement that I make, I'm moving it with my midsection. You may move your arms, move your legs, but it starts from the core, from the foundation. So we're just gonna throw a little right cross, little right cross, little right cross, little right cross. You know what, let's do 10 of them. Y'all ready to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I'm gonna throw some more hips in there. The whole time, squeeze that belly button nice and tight. Now we're gonna twist and go 1, 2, 3, let's go. 2, 3, 4, let's take it to 15, 5, 6, 7, 8, see that face? 9, 10, 5, 4, oh yeah, 3, 2, 1. Now we're gonna add the left in there. We're gonna warm up the left with a jab. And the jab, how I like to do my jabs in sets of 3. So a jab will do 1, 2, 3. Can we do that? 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. You gotta have that face. This is serious. All right?
What are we doing with our core when we do the
Oh,
jab?
we're going with our core, again, belly button tight. Twist, twist, twist. Now, this is more of a round. This is more of a thrust forward. 1, 2, 3. Can we do that? 1, 2, 3. Now, except for our one left-handed friend, the jab will be with our left hand right here. So your right is just staying here protecting your chin, and your left is coming out with the jab. 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna put these two punches together. We're gonna do a right cross, 3 jabs. All right? 1, 2, 3. Now see, I moved. Saw that? Now I want y'all to move forward. Right? 1, 2, 3, and back. Right? 1, 2, 3, and back. Right. 1, 2, 3, and back. Again. Right. 1, 2, 3, and back. Uh-oh. Right. 1, 2, 3, and back. Good job. Any questions so far? Any questions? So you got your 2 basic punches down. The right cross, the left jab. Now we're going to do a flurry of 4 punches, lead and left. 1, 2, 1, 2. So you're going to hold that position. Cross tight. Heart rate's up. Nice and warm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Watch me first. Movement in the hips always. 1, 2, 1, 2. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. Can we do that? Go.
Yeah.
Let me see
Yeah.
that. 1, 2, 3. Back. 1, 2, 3. Now remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we're going to teach you another punch, an uppercut. In the same position. Core still tight. Body still warm. Face still serious. You're going to do an uppercut right there. And again, notice all the movements. I'm not so flat-footed. I'm moving my core. So you're going to go uppercut, uppercut, uppercut. I still got my serious face. I don't see yours. So uppercut, uppercut, uppercut. Let's do 2 uppercuts, a right and a left. 1, 2. Twist, 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 twist. Let's go for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we do that again? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I don't know about y'all, but I'm starting to feel it. We're going to do 4 again. Uppercuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. You think we can put all those punches together in one series?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now remember, the jab is 3. So So it's boom, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, remember that? Remember that? Anyone?
Find out.
All right. So right, cross, 3 jabs, 4 uppercuts, 4 punches. Can you do that?
Yes, okay.
I think I have a way to help you remember that. I created a series of signals. Because you know what? Although you're not going to get in the ring, you still want to feel like, you know, you feel tough and progressive and strong. So what I did to help people remember what punches to throw in, I created a series of signals.
Will, do you need somebody to help demonstrate?
I'm not you to Now, again, he's going to look like he's going crazy. And he's doing some real serious punching, right? But what he's really going to be doing is really working the muscle joint, core action, and cardiovascular, okay? So this is what we do. And I'll teach you the signals when we're done. Ready? Now we're going to leave that. Go.
Start left.
We have to get him in for a session. Woo! He got a little rusty, but he did a great job. You know the way? I messed up in the beginning. I said left and was leading right. We're gonna do it one more time. We're gonna do it in slow motion. As you saw before, I said 1, 2, 1, 2. You put it up like this, leading left. That's the sign. It's right there. Any questions? All right, let's do that together. What's this? Leading left, what is this?
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Let me see it, go. Go.
1, 2, 3. This is jab.
Ah, it's not the jab.
Not the jab.
Trick. Look at my body language. If you were actually my body language, I'm right here. Hello.
Hi.
1, 2, 1, 2. Lead left. If I'm like this, hello. Right. That's a strong hand. Boom. Right there. Right. If I go this, jab. So right's to right, left's to left. All right. So if I put up the signal, that's the right. Boom. You just get one twist. All right. So let's try it again. Go.
Left, right, left, right.
Go.
Left, right, left, right. Right, right.
Now if I take it down like this, uppercut. If I do 2, lead right,
Uppercut.
go.
Right, left.
Now we're gonna get a little tricky.
Oh.
Now if I go like this, what's first?
Right.
Right to
Left.
so that would be a
Jab.
right.
Right, left, right.
Let's do that. Right, left. Right, left. Right, left. Jab. 1, 2, 3. Right. Uppercut. Left, 2, 1, 2. Right. Beautiful. They're gonna take my job. Let's do that again. Let's go. What's this?
Left, right, left, right.
Let me.
Left, right. Right, left, right, left.
That was the last dragon. I tricked y'all. All right. Now, if you want to do a flurry of the 1, 2, 1, 2 or the uppercuts, I will call out. Probably the only time, unless you know I might mess up, and it happens time to time. You know, but as you get warm, get into the groove, it just becomes natural, like walking. Is I'll make scream out 8. Instead of doing 4, you do 8 punches. So I'll go 8.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
I might go 8.
Right, left, right, left, right, right, left.
8.
Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Punch. Right, left, right, left. Punch.
So as you see, now imagine being able to do that. Now, that's something you could, knowing the punches, you can just practice them, play around with them in your house by yourself, just so put on a good song and just. Or you can play a game with your friend. You know, y'all can see how many in a row you can get before you mess up. Say the 3 of you guys are hanging out.
Do you want to do a demo non-contact?
Yes. Who would like to come up?
Who wants to volunteer?
Let's go. Thank you. Thanks for volunteering. Kelly, nice to meet you.
Okay, so just for camera, if you don't mind, let's try to stay sort of centered.
Okay, no problem.
Just for camera.
We'll stay right here. Now, this is the way you can play. You don't actually have to physically make the contact to your hands or your friend's hands to still get the cardiovascular, muscle endurance, and core aspect of it. I'm gonna be, you're gonna be me. So you're gonna tell me what to do. You remember? All right, so who remembers this?
Jab, jab.
Right.
Let's remember that as 1, 2, 1, 2, knee left. Because that's much easier, right? So you can just put your hands up with your friend, you can say, all right, put them up like this, and I'll see it, and I'll go. And then you change it, and you just control. You can just control the change of the movement. So for learning's sake, so you get it, because you will, I'm gonna put my hands up, and you shadow box my signals. Okay, so if I'm standing in front of you, I do this, and I do this. Now remember, we gotta get our core and our hips involved. So you can get, I'm gonna knock your hands off, Will, go. Go, oh, he has the face, y'all should see that. I'm backing up. And then, go, go, and uppercut, 2. Now when it's 2, lead right, go. When it's 2 uppercuts, lead right. And go. And go up. Now if I told you to dance and do it, dance. Come on, move those feet.
There it is.
And then I was going, ha, ha. What? Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. What you got? What you got? What you got? That's it. That's it. Bring it. Bring it. Come on. You know what? But you were doing it right. You wasn't confident in it, but you got it. Good job. It's about being active. Be active. Empower yourself. Feel strong. Stay strong. Be strong. Stay strong. You know, get in there, and that's just one of the activities you can do. It's fun. Get a group of people around, you know, play the games, you know, cardiovascular, muscle endurance, core strength, it's there. The stronger your muscles are, the better joint action you will have. The more, you know, encouraged and empowered you would be to be more active. Find those things, go out, you know, if y'all need help learning some of the moves, you know, my email address will be presented. Email me, I can email you some tips, send you some videos, I can show you some stuff on YouTube you're gonna look at. But guys, you gotta stay active.
What's the email address?
The email address is will@coreremastered.com.
All right, we'll put that on the screen, will@coreremastered.com. Can we finish with one flurry?
One flurry, you and I?
Well, no, with everybody.
With everybody?
Yeah.
Woo! Woo! All right, so, let's go.
Left, right, left, right.
Right, left. Right, left. Right,
left. Right. Up, left. Left, right, left, right. Left, left, right. Thank you.
Thanks to Ryan for helping me out. Woo! Thank you.
Yeah, so that'll also conclude our final session of Breaking Barriers. Thank you all so much for your participation. bbhemophilia.com is where all these videos will live. This will have information as well about Hemophilia Village and Steps for Living, information about Will and everything that we've covered in these 3 sessions. And once again, guys, congratulations to you guys for your commitment to this program and most importantly, your commitment to yourselves. So well done, and thanks for participating, everybody.
Now everybody shout out.